Welcome back to Doctor Who DVD review, and today we're doing season 32. Now this is a very particular season because I essentially have mostly all the stories on DVD anyway, so this will be something of a chore to get through. So the first story in season 32 is Remembrance of the Daleks. Now, I think this story is okay. It's supposed to be the anniversary story of Doctor Who. They say, think it is. I think it's okay. I mean, being H's second story, or should I say, her first proper story in the TARDIS, you know, there was going to be some effy bits in there, but I think this is a very good, in particular, time for a companion such as herself to put herself right in shoes of a real full companion. In my eyes, perfectly, I think. Next up, we have the Happiness Patrol, which is a story basically about the government. If you think about Margaret Thatcher at the time, in the 80s, she was the Prime Minister, well, our Prime Minister of the 1980s, and there were some things she didn't really like. For especially, she didn't like babies drinking milk, which I thought was very unusual because babies need milk for protein, you know, for the muscles and bones. So the reason why she got rid of milk was basically milk that came from cows. She thought it was contaminated, it was disgusting, babies and kids shouldn't drink that shit. So she thought that kids should drink pure milk, i.e. milk from the mother's breasts, will be better for them. Giving a 10-year-old child breasted milk may seem occasionally okay to her, but to others that seems just freaking outrageous. You just get rid of milk that came from a nice, you know, nice cow, a freshly nice cow, and then you just obliterate the milk just because you didn't like it. That doesn't mean you get to say not everybody else can have it. That's a freaking rip-off. No wonder she was a terrible Prime Minister, and she don't go to see the VHS called No No No. It's a very good VHS, Came out in '94. Hilarious VHS. Overall, the Happiness Patrol is very good. One of my favourites. Underrated, I think. Up is Silver Nemesis. One of my least favourite stories. It's not to say I don't like the story. I think the story has a plot, a very nice plot. But the problem with the story is that it's a three-parter, which then leaves us with some disformed storyline, which then, you know, doesn't involve anywhere else, other than to show it's actually the anniversary of Doctor Who. Like how I said the Remembrance of the Daleks, I think was supposed to be it, but they pushed it back, and so they changed their minds and made Silver Nemesis be the one. Now, the villain of the story, as you obviously can tell by the title, if you can't tell already, is about the Cybermen. Now, the 80s Cybermen. I thought the 80s Cybermen were awesome in Earthshock and Attack of the Cybermen. Them coming back for this story may seem a bit of a rip-off, considering they don't do anything, and I mean anything. All in all, I think the story's okay. It just needed room for improvement, and I think it definitely needed a fourth episode to benefit for it, at least in my eyes. Next up is The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Now, another one of my favourites, which I think is overlooked in some eyes, but in mine, I think it's one of the best storytold Doctor Who stories of all time, especially from the 7th Doctor's era, especially because it has killer clowns, it has weird, fucked up alien shit going on. All in all, it's a brilliant story. It's a shame it's 3 parts. It could have benefited for a 4th episode, just like Silver Nemesis. But if this was the anniversary of Doctor Who, which I think it should have been, or at least the first story, this would have been a top contender for an anniversary, definitely. Overall, The Greatest Show in the Galaxy is one of the best stories of all time, and it's a story that shows us that firstly starts to use his manipulation specifically on Ace to test her, which I think Battlefield is another great episode. It's got 4 episodes, which I think is a nice long runtime for a story like this. Now the plot is that the Doctor is foreseen as Merlin, or mistaken for Merlin, so he has to act like Merlin, you know, treat the people of the time, in the medieval times, like Merlin, you know, be all mythical and superstitious and all that crap, whereas in present day, he's been the Doctor with UNIT. Now, there's contrast between the medieval knights and UNIT. Now they clash because of one specific person, a demon woman, has come to face the Doctor, or, as he's been called in this story, Merlin. And there's this villain called the Destroyer, and the Brigadier comes back. Yes, he comes back. It's been a long time since Terror of the Zygons where we saw the Brigadier. Sure, we saw him in a flashback, or with Tom Baker's final story in the Logopolis when he was regenerating, but that's not really canon. Well, the story is, but the flashback isn't. It's just a clip, a little clip, like a 2-second clip taken from another story. But Brigadier being in this story makes up for that, really it does. And he battles the Destroyer in the end, and oh boy, he says the best line in the entire episode or story. Get off my world. Bang! Overall, Battlefield is a definite classic. I highly recommend it. Go watch it now. You'll enjoy it. It's good. Next up is Ghostlight. Another brilliant story. However, it does benefit for having 3 episodes. Just like The Greatest Show in the Galaxy and Battlefield and Delta and the Bannerman, it does suffer by having 3 episodes. Like I said in those stories, I wish it had 4 episodes, because then I would know what the Blade plot was. But unlike Planet of the Giants, which had to become 3 parts due to low time and budget, that had to become 3 parts. But this was a story planned. They had a story for this, and they gave us 3 episodes worth. We could easily had a 4th episode lodged on if they tried a lot harder and not cutting them down to 45 minutes. But although they did bring them back to what they should be, 25-minute format, for long as possible, you know. But overall, I think the story's okay. I mean, it's brilliant, but it really does suffer from the 3-part episodic thing, which really does annoy me at times. Next up, we have another brilliant and very highly recommended story of all time. We have The Curse of Fenric. However, it doesn't really resonate with me. I mean, I like the setting of it being World War II. There are certain areas that I think should be fixed, like the colour of the sky should be grey and bleak and dark. In the special edition of the same DVD, they have adjusted that, but I'm sticking to the original story here. I think this is 3 parts. It could well be 4 episodes. Oh yeah, it's 4 episodes. I'll get back to that, because yeah, this is 4 episodes, which means he spent a lot of time on this battleground, and this was the last sort of story filmed before the next story. Overall, I think The Curse of Fenric is very well highly recommended due to the fact that it's set in World War II. It has a very nice story, which influences with Ace, sending us all the way back to Dragonfire with Ice World, which I mentioned last season. But this makes it even better, as there's a story of her within the story of the story, and not just Doctor being clamped on as a protagonist. All in all, I think The Curse of Fenric is a very good story for Ace especially, and overall, a classic. A well-earned classic of the word classic. Next up we have Survival, which was predicted to be the last Doctor Who story of all time, which really isn't true, because we have another one after this, but I'll get back to that. Survival is a very, very good story. The villain of this entire story is the Master, which I thought was great to have him back. He's got this virus called the Cheetah virus, which doesn't really kill him, but just somewhat stops him from using Tremors' body, which he's been using for quite some time. For about, I would say, about 9 years he's been in that body. Yeah, he's been in that body for a long while. So he will be, this body of his will dry out soon. And the Time Lords did promise him another regeneration cycle. However, I don't think they gained it to him, because he didn't do his job in the 5 Doctors, so he doesn't really deserve it. However, I think that story is very good. It takes Ace back to her own town in England, which I thought was pretty good. Her friends were a bit strange. Now when I say strange, sorry, they are absolutely strange. The characterization of these characters and this entire story is epic. Her friends feel like Bill's friends. I'll talk to that in a season time about Bill, but back to Ace. Her friends feel exactly like them, if not more so. I really like this story. However, it's a 3-parter again. You know how much I hate 3-parters. I wish there were 4, so then we get more time with the characters and story and plot and context of the story. However, all in all, I think it's okay. It just really suffers for having the 3 episodic formats, which we saw a lot with Sylvester McCoy. And to finish off this entire season, we have the final story, Dimensions in Time, which was the Children in Need special in 1993. However, I cast it as a story at the end of this season, because that's just the way I feel about it. It's a very good structured story with 2 episodes rather than 3. At least these 2 episodes are actually 25 minutes. No, not necessarily, but the story itself is very good. The Rani comes back a 4th time, you know, after her appearance in the Mark of the Rani and the Rani Elite and Time in the Rani. I think she deserves to be in the story. At the end of part 1, we see all these monsters and all that shit come together. This is actually a very good anniversary for the 30 years of Doctor Who, which I thought was very well earned, and specifically deserved to have this as a story. All in all, Dimensions in Time is absolutely good. And not only that, Tom Baker actually came back, which is very good. But he has a small role in it, however. All in all, I do think it should have been 3 episodes, or better even 4. But by the time they had, 2 episodes is better than nothing. So that was season 32. Join me next time for season 33.